Welcome to Faculty Spotlight. Hi, my name is Jane, and I'm here instead of Cynthia today. She's a little sick, but I'm really happy to see you, Dr. Donald Topliff. Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Don Topliff. Donald is what my mother called me.
Oh, I see.
But that's okay. Donald is fine. But Don, I'm the Provost, Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Angelo State University.
That's amazing, sir. So I think when people enter ASU as a freshman, they know all their advising professors and their students and the members here at ASU. But I don't think people know what actually Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs means and what they actually do. Can you kind of give me like a brief details what you actually do?
Sure. So the word provost it's a French derivation of a French word,
right,
which means lieutenant,
right,
which is second in command, basically. And that's the provost at most universities are the number two executive at the institution.
right,
And that is the case here. I'm basically the senior vice president of all the VPs.
right.
But my job is over everything related to academic affairs. So curriculum, hiring of faculty, taking care of things that are related to fees and all those kinds of things. So that's what I do. Anything that deals with what goes on in the classroom, that is my purview.
Wow. Are you satisfied with your position? Do you think this is like the career that you wanted to pursue a long time ago?
Well, I don't think that I ever started out wanting to be a provost. I think I was like most people. I didn't even have an idea what a provost did.
Right.
I know as a young faculty member, I did not know. And that was not really what I set out to do. But life has a funny way of
Right.
changing what you do and where you go, and it has certainly for me. I started out as an assistant professor at Oklahoma State University.
Wow.
A long time ago. And so I made it through the ranks of professors there to associate professor and then
Right.
full professor. I was there for 15 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and I got the opportunity then to move into administration at West Texas A&M University. So I went there as a department head. And again, as a department head, and then I became an associate dean, and then ultimately the dean. And then the previous president here at ASU, who actually was a classmate of mine in graduate school.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny how life is
Right?
very
What a
circular.
coincidence.
And he called me one day and said, "I'm looking for a provost. Would you be interested in coming down and applying?"
Right.
And I said, "I don't know. I'm pretty happy here at West Texas A&M. I had
Right.
things were going really, really well there." And he said, "Well, just think about it." And so I thought about it a little while, and I thought, it might be a new challenge that I could take on.
Right.
And so I came down here and I applied for the job and interviewed and got the job, and I've been here since January of 2015. So
2015.
yeah,
At
10
least
years.
10 years, right.
10 years.
Throughout your 10 years, do you think ASU is a wonderful place to work, or do you prefer like other positions that you have worked before?
Well, I've enjoyed every place that I've worked,
Wow.
but I really enjoy ASU for a couple of reasons. Number
Right.
one, we love the community. It is a community of people that are very similar to my wife and I and our family. And so the community has been extremely good to us. The university is very much like West Texas A&M University was. It's a regional comprehensive university that is serving a group of students that I don't know exactly how to say this, but the students that come here, they're great students, but a lot of them, this is their only option.
Right.
They can't get into UT or A&M.
Right.
Or some of them don't have the money, the financial wherewithal to attend a UT or A&M, or God forbid a Baylor, an independent. And I'm not knocking Baylor, but the cost to go to Baylor is just astronomical.
Right.
And so, are in a niche that really is really important to the kind of students that we serve, and that's important to me. I tell people that the best day of my year is sitting up on the stage at graduation and watching those kids come across that fit that demographic that I've talked about. Because, and I have a saying, and I tell faculty this quite often, that we're in the business of changing family trees. And if it were not for us, some of these students that graduate here would be destined to not be able to reach their full potential because of a lack of education opportunity. And so we provide that, and that is, to me, a very high calling for me personally.
Wow. So when you see all those kids graduating at the end of the semester, I know definitely you would feel those would be the proud moments when you're doing this job. Is there any like proud moments that you do this job? Like what kind of moments have you noticed? Like, okay, I feel like this is worth why I'm doing this job and this really makes me happy.
Yeah, those come along every now and then. I'd say probably two of the most recent ones were seeing the success of the aviation program.
Yes.
I'm a pilot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so when we started the aviation program, we actually went and looked at a couple of other programs. We flew down to Delta State in Mississippi and looked at their program. And that really is probably the one that we're most modeled after here.
At ASU.
But I wrote the proposal to start the aviation program. I took it to the Board of Regents.
Wow.
I told them that in the first year of the program we expected 5 students, and that by the end of year 5 we would steady state at about 65 students.
So you were at the very starting point of this ASU aviation program.
At the very beginning.
Wow.
I hired the first director to the program. I worked with Skyline Aviation to provide the flight training for our students.
Yes.
So I've been involved in it every step of the way. I helped raise the money to build the new aviation training facility, which, by the way, May the 20th, we will do the grand opening of the new aviation training facility at Mathis Field.
Wow.
It's about a $9 million project that was built entirely with donor and city and federal funds. No state funds went into the building of that facility. So we're very proud of that. So, I mean, but let me back up. So I told the coordinating board we'd steady state at 65 students.
Right.
The first year we had 28.
28 students.
I told them 5. We are at the beginning, we're almost the beginning. This fall will be the beginning of the 4th year. This fall we'll be right at 300 students.
Wow.
In
That's
the program.
An amazing number.
So, we've under-promised and over-delivered.
Wow. So you were at the very start of this aviation program. What makes you feel like all these students coming out to ASU to start an aviation program right here?
Why are they coming?
How do you feel about it? Like all these students choosing ASU?
I mean, it's more than what I could have dreamed. I honestly knew that we had undersold the program to the coordinating to the Board of Regents, but I thought, if we got to 150 students in the program after 5 or 6 years, I thought that would be really, really good.
Right.
And I would say, well, we're actually at a point now where we're being very selective of what students we let into the program. So, where we should be somewhere around 350 students in the aviation part of it. We also this fall are starting an air traffic control program.
Wow.
So that will add another, I think, eventually 50 to 60 students a year, maybe more.
Interesting.
And obviously with 3,000 flight controllers short in the United States, there's great opportunity there. So, that's the kind of thing that kind of keeps me invigorated and keeps me going. project. It's definitely not monotonous when you're doing that. The other program I'd point to would be our cybersecurity program.
Yes.
We actually, back before President Hawkins became president, he came to my office and said, you need to write a grant to NSA, the National Security Administration,
Yes.
to start a cyber program.
Wow.
And I will tell you, I'm a pilot. I'm an animal nutritionist. I'm not a cybersecurity specialist.
Right. It's a totally
So what I
different.
knew about cybersecurity, I knew a lot about it. I'm not oblivious to what's going on around me, but to know the ins and outs of cybersecurity, I did not. So with the help of Katie, our special projects director
Right.
and grants person, we wrote a grant to NSA, and it got funded for about $300,000 right off the bat.
Wow.
And so that was kind of the start. And then we actually got asked by UTSA, University of Texas at San Antonio, to work with them on a grant on a cyber resilient community project that they were working on.
Right.
And so we started working with them on that project. Dr. Scarlett Klaus, who's the Dean of the College of Education, helped. We've actually moved cybersecurity curriculum down into the grade schools. We have kindergartners that are learning cybersecurity, and up through middle school and high school. And then the Division of Information Resources, or Department of Information Resources at the state, which is the cybersecurity agent at the state, asked for proposals for regional security operations centers across the state.
Right.
And we were asked to submit. We submitted that. We won the proposal.
That's amazing.
And so now we're really in the third year of that proposal. Actually, we're in the second full year
Yes.
of providing cybersecurity services to independent school districts, counties and cities, municipal water districts.
Right.
We're monitoring for about 58 clients
Wow.
across the region,
Yes.
just over 30,000 endpoints, 30,000 individual endpoints.
That's an amazing number.
We have 12 cyber analysts and 30 students that are monitoring those endpoints 24/7, 365. So, that's a program that has really exploded, and something that we're very excited about here.
That is amazing. All the achievements that you've told me, I'm very impressed. I didn't even know about all these facts by myself. But there's amazing programs, cybersecurity. STEM can be a really big strength at ASU. There can be comms major, all these good programs and all these good faculties. How can this be possible for ASU to have comparatively low tuition compared to other universities, even though they have great programs here?
Well, I think there's a couple things that allows us to keep our tuition a little bit on the lower side.
Yes.
We're not the lowest in the state, but we're in the lower third, lower half of tuition, so we're below the state average. Part of that is we are very lean administratively. If you go to a lot of institutions, there's a dean, an associate dean, an assistant dean, department chairs, assistant department chairs, so on and so forth. We have a dean.
Yes.
And we have department chairs.
Yes.
We don't have all those associates. At the upper administrative level, a lot of places will have a provost. They'll have a couple of vice provosts.
Yes.
They'll have vice presidents for research, associate VPs for research, so on and so forth. We have a dean of research.
Yes.
And a provost, and I don't have any vice provosts under me. So we've kept ourselves administratively lean.
Yes.
Because those administrative positions are expensive, and they really, I would be careful how I say this, but I'll just say it bluntly. They don't add anything to the student experience on campus, or very little. And so we're able to keep our tuition low there. We also are able to attract faculty here for, I would say we're in the lower third of pay scale for faculty, which sometimes is a bit of a problem.
That's true.
Because we lose faculty to R1 institutions, the A&Ms, the UT, so on and so forth.
Right.
But that's okay. We understand that. It's kind of like horses.
That's
you
true.
can't lose good horses if you didn't have them to begin with.
Right.
And so that's the way I feel about faculty. Not that faculty are horses, but I'm an ag guy, so there's the analogy there.
Right. And you've mentioned you said you're an ag guy, and you've been working as a pilot too. I was wondering, are those your hobbies?
Well,
or
no.
is
So
it like your passion?
I've not flown as a pilot in command in a long time.
Oh, I see.
I got my pilot's license when I was 19. I have about 450 hours of flight time, but I have not flown as pilot in command in a long time.
Wow.
Mainly because I haven't had time to.
Yes.
But the other part of it is it's way more expensive than it was when I
that is true.
when I started flying. So there are days when I think I'd like to get recurrent and start flying again, but then there's days that I just not in the cards. So so now I fly low.
Yes.
I have a drag boat that runs 1,000. I run in the Southern Drag Boat Association races. My boat is in a class that we run 1,000 feet in 6.5 seconds at about 135 mile an hour. So that's flying low.
So, are those your hobbies or your passion that you do outside of work? I just want to know about your
one of them.
personal.
And then most recently I bought, since we've built a new drag strip here in San Angelo.
Oh my
I
God!
went out and bought a drag car, so and I've been having some fun with it. We run 1/8 of a mile, so 660 feet, and it'll run 660 feet in just a little over 6 seconds, just over 100 mile an hour.
Wow! So
I fly low.
You fly low. Would you like to fly high, eventually?
Well,
in the close feature?
I still get to fly with a lot of. We have donors and friends that have airplanes, and so we do fly in private aircraft from time to time.
Right.
And I have a really good friend here that has a World War II airplane that he has taken me up in, and he actually let me fly a little bit. So
wow, how was that experience?
Oh, it was awesome.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Can you feel something was different while you're flying that airplane?
It felt like flying any other airplane pretty much.
Wow.
I mean, other than it sounded really cool.
What's the sound difference?
Well,
I've never been on.
Yeah, so mainly it's the sound of the engine. I mean, it's a huge, what's called a radial engine.
Yes.
So if you look at the front of it, the pistons are actually in a circle.
Yes.
And it's called a radial engine.
Oh, I see.
This one, it's an AT6. Actually, it's an SNJ, which is the. I'm getting kind of technical here, but it's the Navy model of the AT6 is SNJ.
Right.
This particular aircraft, you may have seen it flying around. It's a yellow aircraft. You can't hardly miss it.
Right.
The owner's Mr. Sam Strahan, good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
His son is actually in our aviation program.
Wow.
That's how I got to meet him. They actually brought him here and to look at the program, and so I went to lunch with him, got to know Andrew and
that's amazing,
and his son, and he is now instructing for us in the aviation program, and will be graduating I think here in May. So again, circle of life. It's crazy.
That is amazing. Did you see if you could give one piece of advice when you were about my age? I'm currently 23 years old. If you were giving one piece of advice to your 23-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Quit rodeoing and get an education. No, I mean, at 23, that's what I was doing.
Really?
But, oh, yeah. But, you know, at about, I guess I was 26 maybe, when I quit rodeoing, and I quit because I got an opportunity to go to graduate school.
Yes.
So I guess the piece of advice would be, don't look past all of your educational opportunities. And I'm not saying that everybody should look forward to getting a PhD. I didn't. I mean, I got the opportunity to go to graduate school. My first thought was I'm going to get a master's degree,
Right.
and then I'm going to get a job in the ag industry with a master's degree.
Right.
But in finishing up my master's degree, my major professor, Dr. Gary Potter, who I owe a lot to,
Right.
told me, he said, you need to stay here and get your doctorate. And I was like everything I did, like, okay, well, let me think about it. And so, you know, I thought about it for a little while, and just kind of the stars aligned. And so I got my PhD, and then from there went to Oklahoma State. So, you know, you never want to close off opportunities to learn more, whether that be to get another degree.
Right.
What that is. I those that know me well know that I'm a king of sayings, okay? So like the changing family trees thing. So I was fortunate one time to be sitting on the back porch of a ranch down by Utopia, Texas.
Right.
And an old rancher friend that I'd met, and we were sitting there on the porch one evening watching the sun go down, and he looked at me, and of course he called everybody son, whether even though I was no relation to him. He said, son,
Yes.
he said, I want you to remember one thing. When you're green, you're growing. When you get ripe, you get rotten. And so I think everybody needs to take the opportunity to keep growing, stay green, keep learning, because the more you learn, in my experience, the more doors that will be open to you. And, you know, the more education you get, the more doors that are open. I always told students, you know, the higher your GPA, the more doors that are open to you. You know, if you're a 2.5 student, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, but you're not going to get into medical school with a 2.5 GPA. That door is closed to you.
That's true.
And so, you know, it's trying to open as many doors as you can. And then the second piece of advice I'd give is be careful which doors you walk through.
That's important.
Because not every door that's open to you is a door that you should walk through. And that's the tricky part, is trying to figure out whether or not should I walk through this door.
So if you can be a little bit more detailed about that, what do you mean by if they walk into the wrong door?
Well, so let me back up and talk in terms of kids in high school.
Right.
Okay? So a kid in high school is going to have a lot of doors open to them by their friends, by others outside. And when you walk through that door,
Right.
you find that you're in a place where you really should not be. And a lot of times when you walk through those doors and they close behind you, you can't go back.
Right.
And that's where, you know, I don't want to get into a real philosophical deal about all this, but so for example, you know, if you walk through a door and you're in with a group of people that really don't have your best interest at heart,
Right.
and maybe they're on the shady side of things, you know, whether you like it or not, you just became one of them.
Right.
You know, maybe a better way to do it is you need to be careful about who you let on your island.
Yes. I
That's
totally agree.
another way that I've heard it put.
Yes. I think you get to absorb their actions, words, even
That's
though
right.
you don't want to become like them.
Yeah. So here's another. I told you I was a king of sayings.
I love it.
Yeah, you can't soar with eagles if you're running around with a bunch of turkeys.
I think that's true.
I know it's true. I've been tempted to walk through some doors that, fortunately, if I did walk through it, I realized quick enough it was not a door I needed to be through, and I was able to get back out of it. We all make mistakes.
Yes.
Life is full of that. But that's what I mean by being careful what doors you walk through, because there's good doors to walk through and there's bad ones.
So, when like early in their 20s, just like I am, you have like a friend group or like your environment, and you want to change this environment. For example, it feels like you've outgrown your friend group, or you feel
I outgrew a few of those.
I feel like this environment may be not a suitable place for me, so I want to like make a change for my life. What kind of advice would you give to that person who wants to like change the environment and outgrow the group, but who cannot really escape at that moment?
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to escape, and I completely understand that. But there's got to be enough drive inside of you that you know that you must escape. Now, and I don't think you ever want to just look at those that you're trying to get away from and say, I don't like you anymore, you're not good for me, stay away from me. I don't think that's the proper way to go about it.
Right.
But I will tell you that if you've got enough drive to change yourself to get out of that situation, they'll get rid of you before you get rid of them.
That gave me really a lot of chills. I never really thought about it that way, but I think that gave me enough advice for me. Just like a few more questions before we end this faculty spotlight. Anything exciting you want to share what you are working on right now? Can you like vision yourself in like 5 or 10 years? Any goals or visions for yourself?
Well, I'm getting much closer to the end of my career than the beginning. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm able to draw Social Security and not have to quit my job. So anybody that knows anything about that will know exactly how old I am, at least. But so I think my thing right now is to make sure that what we've started is solid. We've got some new things that we're looking forward to. We've asked the legislature for money to start a Center for Excellence in Artificial Intelligence.
Right.
We have pretty high hopes that that's going to get funded. So that'll be another fun thing to get started.
Yes.
But I'll just be honest with you, I'm not looking 5 or 10 years down the road here. I'm going to be retired by then. And then I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, part of the reason I haven't retired to this point, and I could have retired 5 years ago.
Yes.
But part of the reason I haven't is because I don't know what I would do if I retired. First of all, my wife says I can't hang around the house. So she's not going to allow that. So I got to figure out something else to do. I can only spend so much time at the shop working on motors.
Yes. That can also be a plan.
Yeah, but, there's only so much time I can spend doing that. So for right now, I mean, I'm just kind of taking it sort of, I don't want to say one day at a time because it's not imminent that I'm going to retire, but I know it's not 5 years.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your life. And this is the end of the Faculty Spotlight. And thank you so much for sharing amazing advices for our show.
Well, I hope that I can add something to somebody, if it's you or whoever's listening. But I will just say
any advice?
I enjoy being around young people. Young people keep me young. They frustrate me sometimes, but they keep me young. So thank you for the opportunity to come and to do this. I really enjoy it.
Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day.
You do the same.
Thank you.